Hello and welcome to Tabletop 24. I'm Alan.
I'm John.
I'm Brian.
And welcome to another episode of We'll Play Again, where we take a look at games that we've got into the table with a focus on how quickly we're going to get them back to the table, and we answer the question, would we play again? Today we have Furnace from Arcane Wonders. Furnace is a auction game with an engine building mechanic behind it. We will be placing our bids of everybody's got a stack of 1 to 4, placing out a bid on the card in front of us, and we will either be winning that card if we've got the highest bid, or we will potentially be getting a benefit at the top of the card times by the factor of what the bid is, depending upon if somebody's beaten us or not. We will then take any cards that we've won, put them in our engine, and we will then run that engine to generate money, upgrades, further resources, and at the end of the game, it is the person with the most money that is going to win. With all that said, we've got some components out on the table. It's a really nicely produced game. The components are great. They feel great. Cards are a little bit flimsy, but they're lovely. The artwork's really nice. However, my first negative on this one is going to be the fact that there's not a lot for the size of the box. Now, we all know that box presence on shelf stores can be a big thing, and it sort of fits that sort of size that it's going to be quite nice and on display, and again, showing off that artwork on the cover that is, again, quite nice. So I'm hoping there's going to be an expansion at some point, potentially, for that, and that's possibly giving a bit of a precursor to my result, but I think if you've got the insert that's in there is really nice. Everything moves around in it. So having something that's got a bit more in there to go in there would be quite welcome, I think, from me.
So the theme is Industrial Revolution. You are basically building a factory, which gets you either coal, steel, oil, with an aim to getting money. The artwork is nice. It all seems a bit drab, though, and I think that's partly deliberate because it was kind of drab in those days. It does feel a bit like the theme could be better, though. Could be. I think it's been done quite a few times. Industrial Revolution. There's quite a bit of social baggage associated with that period, which I think is unnecessary for bringing into this kind of game. And I think it's been done before. It's sort of better in other areas. So I'd like to have seen this with there's loads of different areas of history all around the world that you could have skinned this and getting resources to make things, to make other things. Could have been done differently, I think.
Yeah. It's essentially an engine builder about building an engine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it an engine builder with an auction mechanic, or an auction game with an engine builder attached to it?
And they're two very separate faces, aren't they?
Yeah, they are two. They are. And it brings up the point of AP, because it really does impact this game. The way it works is that you either put your foot, the highest token wins. So I could outbid the 2 with the 3, but then, as Alan said, the loser gets the multiplier of the one at the top. So there's a lovely bit of brinksmanship that you could think, well, I'll put that 3 there, and I want the 3 iron, but end up winning it. So you get the bottom action instead, and end up with a card that may be either detrimental to your engine or changes how you approach the game completely. But the AP is a real problem in this, that you are constantly looking at what you've got on your tableau and what's being bid on and what other people have to try and get the best from your turn. And it can impact it quite a lot, I found.
Your decisions are very worthwhile, and you are then going to be getting that into your engine, or it's going to be fueling your engine. And with that in mind, if you make an error or a miscalculation or something similar, you can actually break your engine.
It's unforgiving in that respect, that you end up with stuff that isn't what you need, and it slots in.
Yeah,
and it can change how your engine goes.
So interestingly, in the sort of the simple mode, you're allowed to rearrange the order of your factory between turns, but I found that's actually more gives you more point to AP because you know you're thinking, okay, what's the most efficient way of doing this? I think if they were to fix where they are and you can maybe move them into the middle, your choice are taken away from you, and all you're doing is making the best of what you've got, which actually makes it easier to play in some ways.
And then also the size of the deck as well. You never cycle fully through the cards, which means you might be wanting a key card to make your engine super efficient, and it never appears.
Yeah.
So you can be left struggling in that as well. So yeah, those kinds of things do add to the AP of the game, but also it just means it can be really punishing. If you get it wrong, you can end up with minimal points while somebody else is running away with it if they've got a super strategy.
The bid mechanism is quite interesting though, and the idea that you could get at least something for it, and you can plan it, and what you get if you lose the bid is you get the resources at the top, which can actually be really important toward the beginning of the game when you're trying to build up the resources initially to build the products. So you can get something for it, and just as John says, you can occasionally, if nobody else bids on that, then I'm going to end up getting the card, which I didn't necessarily want.
You'd rather have the oil than the...
Which might mean that your strategy changes as you go through rounds round. And as John says, the deck's not very big. We've got 4 rounds. In a 3-player game, you're drafting from 7 cards. In the games that we've played, you're not always clearing all 7 cards. You're not always taking all 7 cards. Yeah. So your engines can be quite short. So again, making that decision, taking that card, getting that resources, it really is key. I mean, I could end up going, okay, well, I wanted that for a 3 because I've got 3 because I want the bottom action potentially. John comes in with a 4, and I haven't got any steel to turn into oil. And actually, oil is quite a hot commodity in the game.
Yeah.
But if I've not planned that ahead, and you resolve these left to right when you resolve the bids, so theoretically, what I could have, if I'd have done this slightly differently, and I'd have gone like that, and John had beat me on this card, I could be picking up the steel here I need to convert into the oil that I then need to run my engine. Because in my engine, at this precise moment, oil's getting me money. So you've got 2 engines that you're working on, and then getting an additional part to your engine.
And there's not much time either. There's only four rounds of this game. And then it finishes. And most of the times when I've played this, I felt I'm just getting started and then the game finishes, which I suppose is a good thing. It teaches you to be more efficient with your planning.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've said in other videos, there's a lot of games where you feel like they just need one more round.
Yeah.
Just one more round. I thought I had another round. And it's gone. And so you have to be on this from the go, from the outset. You have to
have a bad round, that can be your game, can't it?
Yeah.
The one thing we haven't really touched on is everybody gets a player power, so it's a bit asymmetric in that way. And some player powers are slightly better than others, I think. For instance, this guy here gives you an extra bid token, so you're essentially getting 5 bids in a round, which could break it. Now, to counteract that, you can't put the same value or one of yours in the same place
unless you have that one, which means you can ignore that rule. So I could put a 2 on there instead of that 3.
So there are some sort of game breaking mechanics for benefits, and they're giving you enough to think about. But if you take the AP away from it, or even if you include it, it can still be quite a short game. Now, when we played it, it takes about 50 minutes for a 3-player game. We'd probably get that down with a few more plays. You'd know what the engine's going to be like. Take it up to 4 players, add probably another 10 minutes because you're all bidding, then you're all building simultaneously. Then if you're happy to, you all run your engines at the same time. So you kind of doing a lot of it all at the same time.
I think a lot of because we were learning the game, we were taking it in turns to run our engine so we can see what people were doing, so we can get an understanding. If we were doing it simultaneously, then that obviously would speed the game up 10 minutes.
I reckon we could quite easily get this down to about half an hour with a few more plays for 3 players.
I think the fact that you are all playing simultaneously is a good thing. I think if it was taking turns into it, it would be quite a lot more painful, to be honest with you. And I like the fact it's short. It doesn't outstay its welcome. It's over and done, and it's really quite heavy, thinky game.
Yeah, I think it's surprisingly thinky.
Yeah, and we were talking a lot about this before we done this sort of video, and one of the things that we sort of asked the question of is what is this game without the bidding?
Mm.
Because I think the bidding is such an integral part of this game, and it's
Yeah.
what differentiates it. Without it, I think
Yeah.
it's just an engine builder.
Yeah.
And it likens it to John's favourite,
Oh, Century.
Century Spice Red. It is just an engine builder.
Mhm.
Get cards, build an engine. But with the bidding mechanic is what I think makes this so interesting.
It offers something just a little bit more individual than games such as Century, which is just essentially just build an engine. There's a lot of games these days that are just build an engine, and I think the lovely auction mechanic where you're constantly battling what other people want as opposed to what you want or may need but actually get elevates this above those.
And it also adds to a bit of variability with that because, as John said earlier, if there's not resource cards out or not many of them, they then become really competitive.
Yeah.
Especially because you need those resource cards to run your engine even in later rounds.
Yeah.
So they become really, I mean, looking out here, we've only got 3 different types of resource cards. So they're going to be quite contended. And there's a good chance one of us might miss out on that and the other two have taken Monopoly. However, you kind of, that sort of builds its own rules in that sense.
It's much like Splendor when you don't get a lot of a certain colour come out and they become a premium, so people go after them. It would be just the same in this.
Yeah. So you've got to fight over it. You've got to be quite competitive. No 2 games will be the same because you've done it. The only other bit that we've not really touched on is the upgrade mechanic. So everybody starts the game with an ability to upgrade, and we can do that as many times as we are able to with resources. Yeah, so you get the essentially the tech tokens, and what that essentially will do is you have the ability to flip a card over, and when you flip it over, you get the bottom benefit as well as the top. And you must do the top before the bottom, and you get everything in that. So they become much more valuable. But you might not get a card because of the top bit. You might want it because of the bottom bit. And again, all adds to that AP.
Yeah.
And I think anybody prone to analysis paralysis needs to take a look at whether this would suit for them.
Yeah.
And I know people that with analysis paralysis that suffer with it actually like it, and they will like that sort of experience. So this would be for you, but obviously it will push that playtime up. Those people that don't like that at the table, I think it might be a bit of a pass for those type of people.
Yeah.
So with that all in mind, John, would you play again?
I'll play it again, definitely. Not quite straight away, but I would play it again if it came to the table. In terms of an engine builder, it's up there with, because of the auction mechanic. It just elevates it above some of the other offerings that are on the market. Mentioning no names, Century.
Right.
I'd hesitate to play this again. I think it's something about it just doesn't quite gel with me. I think the combination of the theme, the colours, and the analysis paralysis decision making, I find myself caught up in that a little bit more than I normally would do in engine building games. So I don't quite know what it is, but it's not really for me, I don't think.
For me, I will play it again soon. Obviously, there's probably a genuine theme growing with some of these videos. I do like my engine building. I do like the tableau building. I do like efficiency-driven games. So for me, it's there. And I do think the auction mechanic elevates this. Like John said, the auction mechanic makes this game.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd still like it without it. And if you were just drafting or something similar. But the auction mechanic makes it so much more interactive and makes it a competition, I think, with it. And there are those moments of, I wanted that.
Yeah.
You screwed my process now.
And that's the thing, if you're going first, I want that one. Put a 4 in it, it's yours.
Yeah.
But then that also gives Alan the ability to get 6 coal. Yeah. Or 3 steel or whatever. It's just a lovely little thing that elevates this above other engine.
Yeah, and that is it. I think there is that extra level to this. They are 2 very separate mechanics, but they add so much more to each other, I think, in the way they're put together.
Yes.
So, thank you for joining us for this episode of We'll Play Again. If you haven't done so already, please check out our other videos on the channel, give us a like and a subscribe, and we will catch you next time. Take care.
Bye.
Goodbye.